A word like inappropriate, with a less extreme connotation. Sometimes I would like to use the word inappropriate when it simply means not quite appropriate, but it usually seems to have the connotation of extremely not appropriate. For instance, if I wanted to say a person was touching inappropriately, it might not mean they are doing something lewd, for example touching private parts, but rather, sitting too close and touching in a professional environment where it doesn't make much sense. Or perhaps it's a meeting where a subordinate is dominating a conversation where multiple higher-ups or people more familiar with the topic should be speaking more. Their speech would not be appropriate, but calling it inappropriate seems to indicate that they were making crass jokes or saying something offensive.
I think the problem here is that the word inappropriate has acquired certain connotations. As the question says, particularly in a US business context, it has come to mean something heading towards sexual harassment. However, I don't think not appropriate has these connotations. Alternatively, just avoid the moral judgment implicit in discussing the appropriateness of the behavior. If, for example, you describe somebody's behavior as unnecessary or excessive, sitting unnecessarily/excessively close, taking up an excessive amount of time at the meeting, the reader can figure out that the person wasn't behaving in an appropriate way.
I don't see anything wrong with inappropriate. From dictionary.com. Inappropriate, not proper or suitable. At the same time, I take your point. Because of its extremely negative connotations in some contexts, especially sexual contexts, inappropriate seems to have taken on an unnecessarily negative meaning. It seems to be getting a bad rap. One possible one-word alternative is improper. From dictionary.com. Improper, not in accordance with propriety of behavior, manners, etc., improper conduct at a funeral, unsuitable or inappropriate, as for the purpose or occasion, improper attire for a formal dance. One could say that it is improper for a person to sit too close to and touch another person in a professional environment where it doesn't make much sense, although inappropriate in your extreme sense could actually apply here, even if the toucher is unaware of it. A subordinate to dominate a conversation where multiple higher-ups or people more familiar with the topic should be speaking more. The same dynamic that has infected inappropriate could infect improper, if it has not already done so.
Uncomfortable. He was uncomfortably close. He dominated the conversation with an uncomfortable lack of familiarity.
Unprofessional works quite well in the two examples provided. Sitting too close to or touching, which itself has a worse connotation than inappropriate, others is certainly unprofessional behavior. It often is unprofessional for a non-expert to be explaining something when experts in the topic are present at the same meeting. In a number of situations, however, unprofessional does not mean the same thing as inappropriate does. While I would suggest unacceptable, the connotation is at least as extreme as inappropriate itself. Improper is a decent option. Perhaps you could use negation. Not appropriate means the same thing as inappropriate, but might not have the same connotations that inappropriate has. Granted, it isn't a single word, but it seems worth mentioning.
Perhaps insensitive, for the person sitting too close, or inconsiderate, for the garrulous subordinate. Insensitive, destitute of, or wanting in, mental or moral sensitiveness, having no quickness of feeling, not susceptible of impression. Inconsiderate, not characterized by consideration, acting without deliberation, thoughtless, imprudent, indiscreet, careless, without consideration or regard for the circumstances, claims, feelings, etc. of others. Definitions from OED.
If you want to support the channel, please consider playing